Hi, it's Michael Senoff with Michael Senoff's HardToFindSeminars.com. The title of this interview is called Hold the Phone, Cold Calling Really Works with These Secrets to Teleselling. Look, everyone hates telemarketers who call in the middle of dinner with random offers no one could care less about, and that's pretty much what everyone pictures when they hear the term cold calling. But according to this cold calling expert, cold calling done right has nothing to do with grabbing a phone book and dialing up as many people as possible. It's actually a highly targeted, strategically scripted, inexpensive option that works. But in order to be successful, the first thing you have to do is to leave the negative stereotype of cold calling behind. If you think people aren't going to want to talk to you, there's a good chance they probably won't. So you have to believe that what you're offering is something of value. And if you could relay that value to your prospects in a short conversation, you'll have a larger conversion rate in less time than with any other kind of marketing method. And in this audio, you'll hear exactly how to do this. You'll also learn how to make a prospect profile that identifies the traits and characteristics of your potential customers along with the times you should call them. You'll learn the single biggest reason people don't get the results they want from cold calling. You'll hear a surefire appointment setting mantra that helps the client go from hundreds of disappointments to setting appointments every 2 to 3 calls. You'll learn why learning when to be quiet is just as important as following your script. You'll hear the most common and by far the worst mistakes people make when writing a script and tricks that will make sure you sound approachable and conversational. You'll hear a quick exercise for mentally preparing yourself before you hit the phone pad. You'll learn about a quick exercise for mentally preparing yourself before you dial the phone. You'll learn the one and only time you should ever leave a voicemail message when cold calling. And you'll hear an incredibly easy way to improve your phone skills just by wearing a rubber band around your wrist. So, when it comes to cold calling, the fear you create for yourself is always going to be much greater than the reality will ever be. And since the only way you can overcome that fear is by taking action, this interview will tell you exactly what steps to take to turn most of your conversations into conversions. Now let's get going.
Hi, this is Raven Blair Davis, and I've teamed up with Michael Senoff's HardToFindSeminars.com.
Before we get into our questions, I read your bio. I know that you were in ballet.
I was a ballet dancer, and I was never supposed to be doing what I'm doing today. I was supposed to be a ballerina. I grew up in Pennsylvania, and I moved to New York City to dance when I was a teenager to study. And after a few years in New York City, like every artist in New York City, I found that I needed a day job. So I got a job with a telemarketing company, and it turned out I was really good at it. So I did that for a while, and eventually I started my own business where I had clients that I represented, and I did all the new business development for them. And over time I segued into what I'm doing today, which is training and coaching. So my business today is helping people that are trying to develop their business. And if you visit my website and you take a look at my client list, you'll see that I have a pretty impressive roster of corporate clients. And just about every client that's on that list, I can trace back, if not directly to a cold call. If they were a referral, I can usually trace that referral back to somebody that I cold called. So I practice what I preach, but what I'd really like our listeners to get, because I'm not telling you this to brag, I really want you to get this. I was a ballet dancer. I didn't know anything about business. And so if I could pick up the phone, talk to people, and build a business, then any of you that are listening to this program can do it. And if you are struggling with building your business and with prospecting, this is a communication skill. And like any communication skill, it can be learned and it can be improved on. It's wonderful to have control of your own destiny. With the phone, you can talk to anybody, any place in the world, and you can conduct business without ever having to leave your home. This morning, I was on the phone talking to some prospects, and I closed a nice piece of business. And I am in my apartment. So it's a wonderful tool that you can use to develop new business, it is a communication skill, so you can learn how to do it. There's this idea out there that there are people that are natural salespeople, and if you're not a natural salesperson, you can't prospect by phone, you can't cold call. And that's not true. Anybody who wants to can learn how to do this.
This is about picking up the phone, so let's talk a little bit about what it takes in the mindset to make those calls.
The mindset is really the most important piece of this. There is a lot of myths about cold calling, and what you need to know about cold calling is that it really works. There have been studies done, a lot of studies done, that show that the number one way to generate new business is by picking up the telephone and talking to people. The Direct Marketing Association has done study after study about this. MarketingSherpa.com did a study last year that showed that picking up the phone and talking to people was one of the best ways to develop new business. So you don't have to just take my word for it. It really is a great way to develop new business because it's inexpensive, it's highly targeted if you do it well, and the problem is there are a lot of people doing it badly. You're targeting your market so that you're only calling the people that are most likely to say yes to you, and then you have the communication skill to be able to really explain to that person what it is you're doing and why they should be interested and why they should want whatever it is that you're offering. The bottom line is that whatever you believe is going to affect your actions. And then, of course, your actions affect your results. So if you believe that cold calling doesn't work, or you believe that no one wants to talk to you, or that people are simply going to hang up on you, that belief is self-limiting. And, of course, you don't actually know any of those things because you haven't made phone calls yet. You're prejudging, you're fortune-telling, you're deciding the future. If I make this phone call, this person will not want to talk to me and they will hang up on me. That's fortune-telling. You don't actually know that. And if you have the actual skill to be able to engage that person, they're going to be very interested in speaking with you. And they're not going to hang up. They're going to say, tell me more. So what you need to do, what you want to do is really look at your beliefs and whether those beliefs support your ability to be successful. And if your beliefs support you and then you don't know how to do it, well, then there are lots of resources available. There are resources available on my website. There are resources available in many places. And you can learn the skills that you need if you believe that you can do it.
What were some of the ways that you built your belief up?
Well, when I started, I actually had a very different mindset from many people because when I started, I was a ballet dancer and I needed a day job, and I was in my early 20s at that point. And in my world, ballet dancers and artists were the important people. And while many, many people look up to business leaders or very highly successful business people, I didn't, because in my world, they weren't artists, they were business people. And because I was an artist, and this is just an example of the power of belief, because at that time I was an artist, I considered myself to be an artist, and I still am an artist. Anyway, I would get on the phone, and my belief at that time was that people would be delighted to speak with me because I was an artist. And I had no problems getting people on the phone and having great conversations and getting results, first for that telemarketing company and then when I started my own telemarketing business. And that was my mindset. I actually never realized until many years later when I started doing training that other people were uncomfortable prospecting by phone. I knew nothing about the business world. I thought everyone would be delighted to talk to me. And that belief, even though most of the time, especially when I started out, I didn't really know what I was talking about, but simply that belief carried me through, and it enabled me to learn more and to progress. And then, yes, along the way, I educated myself. I took seminars, and I went to teleconferences, and I bought products like this, and I've worked with a coach, and I did all of those kinds of things. But it really started from a place of belief. As long as you have in your head the idea that you can learn this, it's okay to be a little uncomfortable if you've never done it before. Everybody is uncomfortable doing something that they've never done before. If you let that discomfort rule your life and keep you from taking action, then that's very sad. if you're a little bit uncomfortable and you go and you educate yourself and get the skills that you need, then you'll get over the discomfort.
Well, let me ask you this. Why cold call at all?
Great question. Number one, it's extremely effective if it's done well. It's highly targeted. You can decide based on whatever your offering is, you can figure out who are the prospects that are most likely to say yes. So instead of calling everybody in the world, you're only calling prospects that are right for you and your offering. So you're having conversations with prospects that are likely to say yes to you. It's very inexpensive. All you need is your telephone, and you can call all over the world. You can stay nice and safe and warm in your home, not have to go anywhere in the middle of winter, and it really works. It creates that human being to human being connection that is missing in a lot of other forms of marketing, say internet marketing or direct mail or anything like that. You're actually able to have conversations with people, and it's very, very powerful if it's done well. Well, there are a lot of people out there making calls and making calls badly, and that's part of the reason that cold calling has a bad reputation. And lots of times clients will say to me, oh, well, I don't want to be like a telemarketer. And when they say that to me, I know what they're saying is, I don't want to be perceived to be somebody that's not very bright, reading from a script word for word, mispronouncing a lot of the words, interrupting people at dinner, and not offering anything of value. And my response to those clients that say that to me is, do you believe that what you're offering has value? And they usually say yes to me. And that, of course, that goes back to what we were just talking about, belief. You must believe in the value of what you're offering. If you don't believe in the value of what you're offering, then you have to find something else to do. But then if you believe in the value of what you're offering and you have the skills to have an intelligent conversation with a prospect, nobody is going to perceive you as having nothing of value and reading from a script and interrupting them.
Hi, this is Raven Blair Davis reporting for Michael Senoff's HardToFindSeminars.com.
You talked about having the skills in communicating with your prospect. What do you mean by that?
When you're on the telephone, you don't have a lot of time. When you're face-to-face with someone, you can launch into a long, complicated explanation. And since you're face-to-face with them, the chances of them interrupting you and just walking away are lessened. Also, we're all very intuitive. We read each other all the time. And so if you're talking to somebody, you can tell if they're paying attention. If you're face-to-face with them, you can see their reaction. You don't have any of that on the telephone. And it's very easy for a prospect to say, I'm not interested, and get off the phone. It's harder to read them because you can't see them. And remember, it's much harder for your prospect to read you because they can't see you. So in a very short amount of time, you need to be able to get that prospect's attention and then their agreement to have a conversation with you. And the way that you do that is by communicating the value of whatever it is you're offering to that prospect in a way that they're going to get it, that they're going to understand it. And that's a skill because you've got to do it fairly quickly.
Hi, it's Michael Senoff with HardToFindSeminars.com. Thanks for watching this video. You know, many of my interviews last 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, sometimes even up to 2.5 hours long. They're actual mini-seminars, and you've just listened to a short sample of just one of over 117 hours of exciting, hard-hitting, mind-blowing interviews on how to make money in direct mail, advertising, copywriting. I assure you, there is not a resource anywhere on the internet or on the planet that comes close to the free information I provide at HardToFindSeminars.com. So go right now to HardToFindSeminars.com and you'll have free access to 117 hours of audio interviews with typed word-for-word downloadable transcripts and downloadable MP3 files. Please browse some more of the videos or go right directly to HardToFindSeminars.com. Thanks for watching.